Now, when you guys sit down and when you first receive a script for one of these things, do they consult with you? Do they discuss this with you? Do they just lay it out and say this is the character arc? How do you feel about this? What do you think?
Yeah, but it's changed over time. I think if you're one of the folks who has their standalone movies, like Scarlett has Black Widow coming out, I think you take a bit of a different tack in how much meaningful. I think the legal phrase for actors and studios is meaningful consultation, not script approval, because then anybody could hold a studio hostage because I don't approve this $30 million that you're trying to spend right now. So your schedule's fucked.
When you say I don't approve, I picture a bathrobe and I picture fine china and teacups. That's what I picture. I don't approve. And then just storming off.
I've had my moments too because I'm so passionate about story. But again, after more seat time with the same people and new people coming in and getting a pretty brutal education on what kind of process these movies require, you just start trusting more that they're thinking on your behalf. And also, little things are easy to change. Big things become a inconvenience to the higher good. And at what point do you want to pull the air brake on something where the train's, already leaving the station?
Well, I would imagine it would be a fine line that they want the actor to be comfortable with the character, and they want maybe some feedback would be beneficial. But they have a path, a vision that they've created.
Yeah.
And they would like to see you somehow or another at least morph slightly to get on this path.
Yeah. Yeah, and by the way, after I had my second round of kids with Susan, I became both artistically, I had a bit of a renaissance when I was doing the third Iron Man. And then after that, too, I was like, well, now I'm going to do this Avengers, and there's so many moving parts, and it's so difficult just to get all these schedules to coincide and get everyone together that I'm not going to be like, I'm not feeling it. So, again, it's that thing. It's sometimes, what do they say, faster alone, further together? Sometimes you can only think about further because you got to get downfield. Other times you're thinking, hey, this is my moment to run. And I need a little help and a little approval, and I need a little leeway. But that's any creative endeavor.
I would imagine when you're involved in something that's so epic, when it's actually over, it probably almost seems surreal because the production is so massive. There's so many moving pieces. There's so many special effects, so many things that you have to sort of visualize while you're doing it. And then after it's all over, you're done. And what is a big Avengers movie? How many months are you involved in this?
Well, I mean, it could be some part of 18 months to 2 years, depending on how far out you are, and then 4 to 6 months of principal photography, and then additional photography, and then post. And then I always include promotion, from from soup to nuts, I think is the phrase.
Soup to nuts?
Yeah.
How does that work?
That's a Joel Silver phrase, one of my great friends, and probably one of the greatest big movie producers of all time. We did the Sherlocks with him. He did the Matrix series. My missus was running his company for 10 years. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which is, I think, in some ways the best film I've ever done, wound up being a calling card. It came out and it bombed, but Jon Favreau saw it, and he said, this guy could do an action movie. And so that wound up being my calling card into the Marvel universe. But to answer the question, it can be anticlimactic like anything. I mean, this is surreal, I've maybe seen you around a little bit, but I feel like I know you because I see you all the time and I listen to you, and I'm a martial arts nut. And yeah, isn't it? Sometimes when you get outside of the fortunate, interesting, creative experience you're having, you kind of go like, it's very dreamlike.
Yeah. Yeah, my whole life's a dream. Yeah.
Except for the ramifications. The ramifications
Those are real. When those come back and bite you in the ass, you're like, yikes, this isn't a fucking dream at all. This is dangerous. Yeah, I used to. I remember the first time I met Phil Hartman. I was stunned that I was actually like sitting. We were at a table read. And I was sitting across from him, and I'm like, "How the fuck? You're a famous guy. Like you're a really famous guy. Like I've seen you in movies, man. Like I've seen you on television. Here you are, right there. How weird, you know? And it seems it's very hard to be normal, and then after a while, that becomes normal, and then the fact that it becomes normal becomes surreal, and then it really feels like a dream. Like when I meet people like you, like we've just met an hour or so ago, yet instantly I feel like I know you. Yeah, it's very strange. But you're not full of shit. You know, when someone's not full of shit, it's pretty easy to get to know them. You say something, I say something back. I go, I know how he works. I see what's going on in there. This is an actual human. Here we go. We're talking.
There's a good litmus, too, because you watch your show pretty quick. And I just love it, too, because in your show, you start – it's a rolling start with you every time. You come into the show and you're already kind of thinking about stuff. So it feels very organic. And part of me even this morning was like, I hope he looks into my eyes and doesn't see a complete and utter foolish fraud. Because I would probably believe him if he mirrored that back to me.
Oh no, that's a danger, right? Yeah, if you respect someone and they think you're a fucking idiot, you're like, oh no, I might really be a fucking idiot.
But there's been times when, in just being myself, someone who I respect has looked at me and said, "What are we talking about?
Yeah,
what are you even saying?"
For sure.
And you remember that because it kind of it stiff arms you.
But part of those are good because it realized, well, you were probably off on a fucking stupid tangent.
Yeah.
And that's part of being a person. You know, part of being a person is like, I don't know what the next word out of my mouth is going to be right now. No one ever does. Unless you do, and if you do, it's kind of weird.
Some people are poker players. I respect some people that are that because there's an ability to – maybe it's fear-based, but I always appreciate people who – you know, those people like their icons or big shots or that they hold a certain esteem and all of their texts are very simple. It's like, yes, we should fix that.